The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Welcome everybody to Exit Team Nashua. I'm your host, Jessie, and tonight we have my lovely friend, Michelle Smith with us. And so hope you're having a good night. And how's everything going?
Very good.
Yeah?
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So it's great seeing you. I know Michelle from our early days in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And, what are you doing these days?
So when I met you, I was managing at Rise Above. And
are you still managing over there?
Well, I'm managing one of the PHP houses now.
Oh, okay.
Process.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've just stayed managing the houses, and I work now at Process Recovery Center.
Okay.
I got my nursing license back, which was something like I never thought I could do.
Yeah.
But they pushed me along with that. They definitely, when they found out I had been a nurse, it was like,
that's awesome.
like, what are you doing? Why aren't you a nurse again? So they pushed me to do that.
So you do plan on working there after you get your nursing license?
Yes. Well, I'm going from my LPN to RN now. Right now I'm working there as an LPN. And a tech. So
awesome. How do you like it there?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
So you've been working at Process since?
I just celebrated 2 years there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. So you run groups, or?
Yeah, I run some groups, and I do like Vivitrol shots there, and then I work with the girls at the house. I live with them basically. I have like my own little spot on the side.
Oh wow!
I manage the house.
You're like totally immersed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're like the recovery queen, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like no one sees it deeper than like that spot.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's kept me sober, so I'm not going to change it anytime soon. And like seeing the girls, the light come back on in their eyes, because I get to see them from like the day they're out of detox until they graduate. And then, I've had a couple girls that I've gotten to present with their 1-year medallions. So that's like a super blessing.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing to see. We have a lot of really sad times when people pass away or they leave, and that can get really heavy sometimes.
Yeah.
But then there's those like beautiful moments in between that, like I get to see someone get a year that I wasn't sure was going to make it, that had been in and out. And, so it's like a beautiful process. It's sad, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. That must be like so rewarding. And like for me, what comes to mind is like the joy in like your life, because like you're so immersed in the recovery world and like teaching them how to stay well that you have to stay well yourself. So you're like forced to work a really, really strong program.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like when you work a really, really strong program, you're like really, really happy and have a healthy life.
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't know that that's exactly what I needed. So I had gone to like a really intense Christian program for 9 months when I first got sober, and when I got out, I went to Rise Above, and I was just like a resident. And
you had been at Salvation Army.
Yeah. So that was intense. It saved my life.
You had just gotten voted in or whatever it is, the house manager when I was leaving.
Right. Yeah. I had like about 11 months at that point. So when I got to 10 or 11 months, when I got to Rise Above, very soon after that, they offered me the position of house manager. And, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, cause my whole life, I've been the irresponsible one.
Right.
I've been the animal. I've been wild. Like nobody ever trusted me with anything.
Right.
So that was like a blessing to me. Like that was something that like I held with really high regard. And it's what's kept me sober, is like being held accountable. But then also the other side of that is like seeing people go back out and the misery return so quickly.
Right.
That's been something that's kept me sober this whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it really like must have helped you like also that empowerment for in my experience was what was missing from helping me to like be well, you know what I mean? Like I had never had anyone like really you know, like at my most recent experience, like women empowerment, like just really helping me like, you know, rise to the occasion, you know, and that must have been like, do you think that was like a turning point for you as far as like?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't, you know, I never saw, if had you asked me then, would I still be managing houses or working with women or
like
working
imagine
in
if you hadn't
recovery?
been given that opportunity, like
No,
you
I don't know
probably
where I'd
wouldn't be in the spot that you are today.
absolutely not. I don't even know if I'd still be sober. Never mind doing what I'm doing now. I definitely wouldn't have got my nursing license back. You know, like helping other women, I didn't realize what a blessing that was. Like I didn't realize how fulfilling that would be. But it's definitely something that like, that's all I care about now. You know, I have a daughter. I have a 17-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
So, you know, all these girls that come in and stuff are like my kids. Like I just love them so much, and I know what they can be, and I know that they can come out the other end of this. So it's just helping women is definitely my thing. Like I help the guys that I work there, and there's guys there and male clients and stuff, but it's the women. Like I'll always stand up for the women.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So it must be really challenging.
Yeah.
Women sober living.
Absolutely. It's wild. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times I want to kill all of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's times that I lose it and stuff, you know, but at the end of the day, like, you know, they're just such good girls. Like they are like that, you know, and every time I get really annoyed with one of them and like one of them's really driving me crazy, if I really take a step back, it's because I see myself in them. You know, like
100%.
And that's huge to like realize.
And then that sucks. And then you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just started working like in treatment again, where like I was working like doing advocacy and recovery before. So I wasn't like in direct contact with clients, and it's only been a couple of weeks, but it's been really good to be able to recognize myself.
Right.
And see those old behaviors, you know, but it's hard because you just sometimes they just, you know what I mean? Is it like a point in like when something just changes and we just like realize it, or?
I don't know. It's funny because like I had just run a group a couple weeks ago about, you know, relationships with women in sobriety, and there was a long time in my life in active addiction and also in early recovery that women were my competition.
Right.
You know,
100%.
I couldn't just look at a woman, never mind a beautiful woman, and like love her and care about her. It was always about like what she was going to get that I couldn't get, or what she could take that was mine, or my comparisons to her, my jealousy or my insecurities. And now it's, and I don't know if it came with age or if it came with recovery, but now it's not like that. Like now it's like, it's so nice to be past that and to just really be able to look at a woman for being a woman, you know, a woman in recovery that like I love no matter what. And the behaviors that come along with it, I mean, it keeps me on my toes. We'll just say that, you know, like it definitely keeps me on my toes. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
I think it's recovery that gets you there.
Yeah.
Because I had the exact same experience. And like even looking back in, you know, towards the end of my addiction, like I just saw other women just so differently.
Right.
And it's empowering to me to know that I can empower them.
Right.
And you know what I mean, and not be that competition to them, and show them that bridge that like if we love each other, like things can be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like getting through to that other like woman is like a beautiful spot to get to be able to be in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
So tell us, you know, about, you know, what's a little bit about like your story? Like, you know, when did you start using?
So I like to say, you know, when I was writing that thing for you, I'm like, God, 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, because I got sober at 36.
Yep.
And it was right around, I'd say like 14, 15, you know, I started experimenting with alcohol and weed and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say it really became a problem until I was about 16, where it was like a daily, you know, no matter what I was doing it alcoholically. You know, like if I was smoking weed, it was morning, noon, and night. It was never a break from that. And then about 17, I turned to like harder drugs. And I backed away from that for a little bit and kind of went back to just drinking and stuff and like the party drugs. But, you know, no matter what, I remember as a teenager, you know, I would be like tripping, like, which is an intense experience.
Yeah.
And not understanding why my friends didn't want to do it daily. You know, like for them, it was like on a Saturday night or a Friday night and stuff. And I was like, well, why not do it
It's
at
Tuesday
school?
afternoon.
Like, why would we want to, you know what I mean? Like, why would I want,
if we can do that at school, why
like,
wouldn't
why
we?
Why would I want to come down from this?
Yeah.
And that should have been a red flag. It wasn't,
Yeah.
but it should have been a red flag at the time. But as far as like when I really got into like a opiates, which ended up being my drug of choice, that was in my early 20s, like right after I had my daughter. You know, I had messed around with it before and knew I liked it, but as far as getting addicted to it, that was in my early 20s. And that quickly escalated to heroin. And then fentanyl, obviously. But that, you know, there was brief periods of times where I was doing maintenance here and there. And, you know, so I seemed to kind of hold it together a little bit. At least I thought so at the time.
Right.
But, you know, it was a never ending, like, I don't think I had a sober day from 16 years old on. So, you know, 20 years until I finally surrendered, you know, like until enough was enough. So, and I lost everything.
So, were you an IV user? And when did that start?
That started very soon afterwards because I actually had gotten into pills, got on the clinic, and went through nursing school on the methadone clinic.
Wow.
I was going to the methadone clinic every morning and then to nursing school.
And
with
you were
a baby. I had my daughter, and
Wow.
my daughter's father had no idea. He's just not an addict, so he just had no idea.
Yeah.
And so once I started nursing, though, you know, I had needles. I was doing home care.
Oh God,
I had diabetic needles, you know, like they were at my disposal. So it was very soon after. As soon as the medication that I was buying on the street was getting too expensive, and I was told there was a cheaper way. And you know, I went right to IV.
Yeah. And that changes everything, huh?
Everything.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Right.
You know, that's when I really lost myself. That was when, you know, there was a couple times I brushed myself off a little bit just to get back on a clinic or to get back on Suboxone or get, you know, but I was never working a 12-step program during that time. I was always doing other things as well. So it was literally just a Band-Aid. I do think maintenance can be good in certain situations, but I was not in any way trying to be sober. I just wanted to hold it together for whether it be my daughter or my daughter's father or my mother or whatever. I just wanted to appear to be okay.
Right.
And maybe save a little bit of money for a little while, but I never had it in my head that I was going to stay sober.
Yeah. Yeah, we have very similar stories.
Really?
Yes.
We'll have to talk about
it's
that
pretty
sometime.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, wait, how old were you when it started? I'm just trying to get a picture of like how many.
IV?
Yeah.
I'd say 23.
23. Okay. Yeah. That's the difference in our stories. I didn't graduate until actually using heroin until I was 29.
Oh wow.
But you know, I just paid. I just happened to have a connection that enabled me to. So it would have gone that way,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
It just was circumstance.
It just took a little bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. Which
Right.
I always say, I'm almost like grateful for that it did happen because it brought me to my knees and it made me realize that like there's a different way to live.
Yeah.
You know, and if I hadn't have been brought to my knees in that way, I probably would have stayed in low gear and being miserable and maintaining for a lot more years before
Right.
You know, I was
Yeah.
forced to take a look at myself and my life and
It's crazy.
reevaluate.
I remember going to like my first detox, and the first time it was, you know, I was taking pills and I knew what I got and I was dependent on them. And I remember looking around the room, and there was IV drug users. There was, you know, girls who were admittedly selling themselves. There was, you know, they all had abscesses and stuff, and I was like, ugh. And the next time I went, every time I went, I was another, you know, I was one step closer to the person I had been looking at and being like, oh, that'll never be me. Until I was homeless with abscesses all over my arms, dragged myself in there at like, you know, 100 pounds tops, and willing to do anything for the next one. And it didn't matter what it was.
Right.
So you know, my disease always lied to me and never told me I wasn't an alcoholic or addict. It always told me I had time. You know, you have time. Like that's what it always told me. And that was the biggest lie my disease told me. It was never that you're not one, because I knew very clearly I was one.
I was going to say from like the very beginning, it's okay, you can grab it. From the very beginning, I knew. Like I wouldn't admit that I knew, like, but like from the first time I put a substance in my body, it was like, I'm going to, I found a solution and like, this is going to happen. And, I just held on to it for as long as I possibly could.
Yeah, till the wheels fell off.
Yeah, seriously. You know, and we're lucky that we're alive.
Yeah, there's a lot that aren't.
I have a survivor's guilt a lot of times, you know.
Yeah.
It's really hard. But so it's been how long now since you've been in recovery?
So August 15th will be 4 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, God willing.
Yeah, so it's like your anniversary. That's awesome.
It's coming up, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna celebrate?
Yeah, it's kind of hard right now because there's so many places too, but
everyone can wear masks.
Yeah, so we'll find a place with all the, you know, all the clients and stuff. We'll probably do something.
Yeah. Have you guys been doing lots of like outside meetings? And
Yeah,
stuff?
we're trying to. We have a place that it's like one of the warehouses that my boss, they do like construction and stuff. So we try to do that on Thursday nights where everybody's outside.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do it there. I'm thinking, and then I'm trying to start up like a women's meeting actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So just it's going to be kind of like just a 12-step. It doesn't matter which, just come, you know, because there's a lot of men's meetings right now that are open.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really resentful because there's like no women's ones.
Well, so in Nashua.
Yeah, in
There's
Nashua.
such a need in Nashua. Like people will come.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm trying to use our other office location. So
if
you're seeing this, say yes. One of my bosses already said yes, so we'll see.
That's awesome. So, I mean, towards the end, did you end up in prison?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
ended up in jail a couple times. That was, you know, it's crazy because looking back, anytime I ever got arrested, it was a relief.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, okay, you know, like I was so tired.
Yes.
Like I was so tired and I just wanted a break. And it wasn't then that I stayed sober though. The last time, you know, I was very enabled for a long time because as my daughter got older, we continuously would lie to her, and it was to protect her, but it also ended up enabling me.
Right.
So we would tell her like mommy had to go away, whether it be detox, rehab, or jail I was in, or some hospital somewhere.
Yeah.
Mommy had to go away for her nursing thing, like she'll be back. And the whole time my daughter knew there was something.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I wouldn't have had to go away because like I had to get well. I had to get better.
Right. We just never told her the complete truth.
Yeah.
And, so the time that did it for me was when the cat was out of the bag. So, you know, I was on the news. It was
same experience.
Right. I was on the news and she was like, and it said like heroin, you know, like, and so she ended up seeing that. No, but at the time, you know, now we can look back. But at the time, so finally, my daughter's father, I had called from jail like once again. Yeah. Like put my daughter on the phone. And, he was like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to see her. You're not going to talk to her. I'm not giving her your letters. Now, she was probably about 13 at this time. I'm not doing anything. You're not seeing her until you get out and you're in rehab for at least a couple months. Yeah. And he stuck to it. And like never before had he stuck to it. And you know, she was just flat out told, like, your mother's a heroin addict. She's in jail. She knows she can't see you till she gets sober, period. And I remember at the time being so like, how dare you do that to a child? You know, like
that's the same
like,
thing.
That's crazy.
I was
right?
like, how could he tell him that?
Right.
Like, I still debate whether like they like called the principal and like had a meeting with my son, and my son's father knew I was actually had gotten out of the jail that day, but he was like, I don't care, like you're not seeing him. Like, and I was like, how dare they have a meeting at the school? I'm out.
Right.
And he's like, no, you know, like you have no custody, you have no rights. And
you know, at the time, and we had never done the whole custody. I could have, you know, but 1,000 times over, he could have taken her from me, you know?
Yes,
so like the gig was up, and I ended up getting out of jail in August. No, it was July. But I remember sitting in a dirty motel in Worcester, and it was the beginning of August, and I remember saying, by the end of August, I'll do this. Because, you know, I got out of jail and still felt bad for myself because he still wouldn't let me talk to her. And I was like, poor me. Like, I might as well keep getting high.
So and you don't have a solution yet either.
Right, nothing.
And the pain is so great that...
And so I kept using for a little bit. And then I was like, mid-August, I was like, it was just such a...
So you like stuck to it? Mid-August, you just wrapped it up?
I wrapped it. I did it before I was supposed to because I said the end of August. But things were so rough out there, and it got so bad so quickly.
What did you do?
I went to the Salvation Army.
So you had known about the program?
I had been in the Salvation Army in Worcester once before. Not the one that I had gone to in Saugus, but the one in Worcester.
And you saw that there was a solution there, that it was working for some of the women.
And God for me was a big part of it. Like a 12-step program is a huge part, but the other part for me was definitely God. And so, and like, it's funny because I didn't want to go back to the Salvation Army, but it was all there was. And I knew that God wanted me to go there. Because it was such an easy, like, come in tonight, you know, like, and everything.
And you have to work at that program. That program, you have to really want to be sober.
And I didn't. You know, I only wanted to see my daughter again. I had a court date coming up in October. That if I didn't go to a program, because I had been released with the stipulation of, and I was supposed to have gone way back in July. So it was like, oh, like, let me just get through this court date. Let me just get to talk to my daughter again. I didn't have any intention of staying sober. It was just like, let me get everything back.
To make me feel better.
And something clicked, you know, like God started working in my life. Like it was something, you know, a spiritual awakening happened there. You know, I remember I was like, I wanted to leave every day. And I had this house mom, we called her, who had been through the ring. I mean, she was just amazing. I still talk to her to this day. We're very close. And she said, you better get upstairs and pray. And she goes, get on your knees and pray. I'll come up and check on you in a little bit. And so I got on my knees and I was praying, and then she peeked her head in maybe a half hour later. And she said, how's it going? I said, I don't feel anything. And she said, well, stay down there till you do, and shut the door on me. And I did, you know, like I did. And that wasn't necessarily my spiritual awakening. But I felt something. You know, I felt something, and it was enough to let me stay another day. And then the next day I felt a little bit more. And before I knew it, true to his word, my daughter's father started bringing her to church every Sunday. Like he wasn't trying to be mean. He just wanted me to get better. And my court date went well. And before I knew it, like, I wanted to be there. You know, like that was my home. And I'm still very close with all of the women I was there with. There's a good handful of us that are still sober today that we go to all each other's celebrations. I present my good friend Christine, which is one of my best friends. I met her there with her medallion every year. So it was just like connections that I built there. You know, there's a special connection. And I always tell the girls in my house that the woman that you're in treatment with. You may be at each other's throats half the time. But there's a bond that's there.
Well, that's why I was like, I could reach out to you so easily. You know what I mean? Like, I was just in the bathroom before we started, and I was like, you know, we really didn't live together long enough that we had that like super close bond, you know, because like, presenting, if I lived in Nashua, like if, you know, we would still be in each other's lives more intensely. But like, I just know that like I can call you, you know? Yeah, you definitely build connections in
Oh, God,
treatment.
yeah. There's just that sisterhood. I think that's it's just a bond.
And getting each other through, like being
Mhm.
there at the lowest moments, and you really do just kind of like you're just like there for each other.
Right.
Yeah. So is process all women?
No, just so it's a mixture of men and women, but there's like a men's house
Yep.
and then a women's house. They go to the same center during
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah,
and do
yeah.
groups together.
Oh,
And stuff.
okay.
We have some women's groups and men's groups.
Okay,
but-
so it's just like a PHP, just
right.
like
and then they
yeah.
go to their own homes. at
yeah,
night.
that's like the center that I work at. Well, they're actually using one house right now, and the center's on the bottom floor, but it's just opened.
right.
So they're going to be moving the center. Having men and women in the same house isn't exactly ideal.
I guess not.
But it's
hard
just
enough
it's just
not
temporary.
having that,
It's
yeah.
just temporary, and like there is staffing, and they keep them separate.
Right.
It's monitored. You know,
Right.
it's not just like a sober house.
Right.
So,
Right.
so it was great chatting with
Thank
you.
you.
You know, are you sponsoring women these days?
Not right at the moment, just
Mhm.
because I took a break from it, so I'm not actually sponsoring right now.
Mhm.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
You know, like
You have a man in your life too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we've been together for, God, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Dude, God bless him. He puts up with
He
you.
puts up
Well, I
with
mean,
me.
because like you're with all the women. So like, that's a lot.
He's great. Like, I don't know how he does it, to be honest.
I
with
saw
you.
that thing that you posted about dating a healthcare worker, pretty
Right.
much. You know, some of
Mhm.
them works in
He
social
works in healthcare,
services. Oh,
He
really?
works at Process as well now.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
really?
and he runs a men's house for Rise Above.
Oh my God, you
So
guys
we
are
both,
like
right?
this
Yeah. We both
poster
are in the
couple.
same book,
Yeah, you're so
right.
funny. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you guys must have to probably both stay really well
Yeah.
to, you know what I mean?
You know, we can understand that when
Yeah,
things are
that's what I
going on,
mean.
you
Yeah,
know, like,
exactly.
Yeah. So I know when he's consumed by something going on at his house, and he knows as well. So that
Right.
works. That
Yeah,
works for
definitely.
us,
And you
so.
can like bounce things off each other. And
Yeah.
you both know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome.
Thank
So
you.
happy for you.
Thank you so much.
So, do you want to like give your email address or say anything if you know someone wants to talk to you,
Yeah,
a woman in
absolutely.
recovery that lives maybe in Nashua?
Absolutely. So it's Mitch, MITCH at theprocessrecoverycenter.com. So just email me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.